Hi, I'm Michael. I'm an entrepreneur, small business owner, improv artist, struggling day trader, wannabe actor, and as always, I'm very, very neurotic. And this is Second Scene, the Second Scene podcast. And we do this for Dweebs Global. Dweebs Global is a nonprofit organization providing free mentorship help for people around the world, everywhere and anywhere, any language. They help with anything from resume writing to mental health. So that is why we do this podcast. It is called dweebsglobal.org. So I'm here today with Chang, otherwise known as The Rock Trading. John started his career in the field of product management and is now a full-time day trader, where he helps many people, including myself, learn to be better day traders. Today is a bit different because I personally invited John onto the show so that he could share some of his expertise and experiences, and I could share some of my mistakes, misfortunes, and learning pitfalls so that hopefully anyone out there listening and watching can avoid doing some of the same, because while day trading can be uber rewarding, it can also be uber painful. But I do it often and I enjoy it. So thanks, John. Thanks for being here.
It's glad to be here. Thank you, Michael.
So what got you into day trading?
So this was nearly over a decade ago, and when I left corporate, I decided to just become an entrepreneur. Day trading wasn't the first thing I did. I actually did outside sales for a while. In the meantime, I was studying, just trying to invest money. I wasn't really day trading at that time. So to me, at the time, I was just trying to put money away and invest in long-term stocks. One of the first companies I invested in was Disney at the time, um, and so the journey started there, right? And from there, I decided, well, this seems kind of boring, right? If you're just investing, there's not much action happening every day. And so it was a few years later that I decided, okay, well, let's do some short-term swing trading, right? So I started reading books and studying up on that, and I said, oh, this is more exciting because there's a little bit more action. You have goals, you have short-term goals on particular stock movement and studying technicals and all that. And I think a few years after that, after I really got comfortable with swing trading, then I started moving into shorter time frames and day trading mostly.
Okay, so how long you've been day trading or swing trading into day trading for?
So I would say 7+ years. The first few years was
Okay.
just actively investing. Yeah.
How can we define, I don't even know if people understand what day trading is. How can we define precisely like day trading? Because that's what we do right now for the most part is day trading. I'm sure you
Right.
dabble in swing trading or dabble in
hmm
long terms, but for the most part, we're day trading daily.
Yeah. Day trading is simply you're buying equities or you're buying, options and you're trading it, you're holding it for a very, very short amount of time. Sometimes 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, maybe sometimes a couple hours, just but whatever it is, you sell that position at the end before end of the day. So that's pretty much day trading.
Right. Right. We'll make a trade and we'll be in and out of it in 30 seconds sometimes, or
Yeah. And it doesn't
you've
go our
taught me
way.
you've taught me the patience of holding it for 2 hours and waiting for it to turn around sometimes,
Yeah.
where that's been a big, big savior for me.
Yeah, day
Um,
traders. Yeah, we try to do those during the when we do a lot of day trading when, of course, the market's kind of sideways, or there's big swings and big volatility, right? And
mhm.
if there's a good trend, we'll swing some options like we're doing right now. So obviously the market's in a downturn, so this is where you can buy short positions, right, and hold it for a longer period of time.
Right. Right. So we trade in options mainly. So
hmm
options, I'm going to be horrible. I'll let you explain it. I'll try and I'll mess it all up.
So right now we dabble in put options or call options on index ETFs, okay, such as SPY, ticker symbol SPY, ticker symbol QQQ. They are ETFs tracking the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq respectively. So um, indexes move every
Right.
single day, and then
Right. They kind of
so.
mimic
Mhm,
they mimic some of the other stocks. Like Apple kind of moves at the same speed as QQQ for the most part, and Tesla,
right.
the tech sector, right, is
Yep.
what kind of
Yeah. The Q is
QQQ
yeah,
represents.
the Q
Mhm.
and the spies are part of the tech sector. The SPYs, obviously S&P 500, that doesn't just include the tech sector, but also energy and a few other sectors as well. So when Apple moves, that's when mostly your QQQ and your SPY starts moving because Apple is heavily weighted inside the SPY and QQQ ETFs. So whenever you see Apple start moving, then that's when SPY and Q generally speaking, that's when they really move and start coinciding. So yeah, but yeah, so we play put options, we play call option. Call option simply means that we expect the equity to move up or the index to move up to a certain level, and put options are simply we're short, we're bearish, right? That the ETF is going to move on the downside, and so that's what we do typically every day.
Right. And options, for people that don't understand, options move lightning fast sometimes. You'll buy an
Mhm.
option, a put or a call. And if you buy a call, you want that stock to go up. And if that stock goes up literally like 2/10 of a point, that option might go up 10, 20%, depending on when it
Mhm.
expires and how much
Sure,
it's moving. Right.
sure. Options are, I definitely don't recommend up playing options for any beginner traders. If you understand technicals really well and fundamentals, I think options can be your friend because you're investing less capital, right? And of course, if if you throw $1,000 on an option, you can lose that $1,000 pretty quickly too. So you have to be very careful. But it's not like you're buying $20,000 worth of shares of SPY, right? That requires a lot of upfront capital. And so a lot of day traders play with options because they are relatively, less expensive. But of course, they come with volatility. They come with the Greeks, which means, your time decay, your delta, theta, vega, and all that stuff. And so it's a lot of things can work against you in options. But at the same time, if you catch the right direction, if you trade it properly, it can be very rewarding as well.
Right, right. You put $2,000 or an option, and you can double that money in 5 minutes, or you could also lose that money in literally a minute
Right.
if
Well,
something happens and the stock moves
mhm,
the wrong direction 1% like that. It
yeah.
could be gone.
Well, the key is to make sure that you know how much you're risking or how much you're willing to risk, right? Before going into any type of options trading. Having uh, risk management is absolutely key where you have to follow your own rules, right? So if you put $2,000 in options trade, you have to determine how much exactly of that $2,000 you're willing to lose, right? It's not $2,000. If you go into any options trade and expect to lose the full amount, then you're not really trading, right? But you're setting a rule for yourself, saying, "Hey, okay, well, I'm willing to lose 10%, which is $200. Um, if this doesn't go my way, if I'm down 10%, I release the position or cut the position and move on to the next trade."
Right. People call a lot of day traders will go through a phase when they're first learning and they'll do what's called blowing up their account, which is
Hmm.
what I did about a year ago. Is I blew
Hmm.
up a sizable account and lost all
Hmm.
the money because it
Yeah,
can be very addicting. It can be very it's almost like it's gambling at that point where you're just trying to chase something. You lose something, you're trying to chase that money back, and it can
hmm,
disappear real quick if you're not if you don't know how to follow charts, if you don't
of course.
really know what you're doing. But I think a lot of day traders go through that phase at the beginning of their
Hmm.
day trading journey, and a lot stop because of it.
Yeah, you really
Yeah.
have to learn the technicals and really can't chase stocks or chase options if they're moving too fast, etc. I think every day trader, whether they admit it or not, has blown up their account at least once in their journey, right? And that's typically how you learn. You don't have a boss telling or anyone telling you what to do. It's you make 100% of the decisions, and you have to live with whatever the outcome of those decisions are. And and sometimes it can hurt. Sometimes it can hurt. But once you go through the pain a few times, you'll never do it again.
Yeah, I think day trading one of the hardest things is the mental game of it.
Yeah, the mental game and the emotional toll it takes on you at the end of the day. Yeah, you're staring at charts, literally 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, and at the end of the day, you're drained, right? You're mentally speaking. So proper rest and exercise is required as a day trader, and to be fresh each morning. To be prepared, right? And if you
Mhm.
prepare mentally, and your charts, the levels, the rules that you have, I think everyone can do okay. It takes a lot of practice, though, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If you search the web, can you make money on day trading? Like everything says, like 99% of people lose money day trading and don't make anything. And I wonder who are the people that make the money? And it is possible, right? Like it is
Yeah.
possible to be a successful day trader.
It is absolutely very possible. What compared to like long term, and the people who write those articles are typically long term investors who don't trade derivatives, right? People who are long term, I think long term investments is pays better yields over time than day trading, right? But day trading is you can be up five trades a day and you could be down four, right? So they're speaking in terms of, okay, well, if you are just pretty much, they're like speaking of, well, you're just pretty much washed at the end of the year, right? And that can happen too, right? So if you actually just bought a stock at its low and you held it for the entire year, you're not really trading it, then, let's say you buy SPY right now and 1 year later it's 16% up from where it's at right now. So you gain 16%. But if you're day trading options or day trading equities every single day, some folks claim that you're just pretty much at wash or you're at a loss at the end of the year. So I don't really understand that, but I make money on day trading. I make money on swings. Do I win every trade? Absolutely not. So, but this is how we make our living.
Right. Is it realistic to make, of your portfolio 2% a day,
Yes,
3% a day? Like is that a realistic goal? Is that a
yes,
real because long-term traders aren't going to make 2% a day.
no.
They're hoping to make 8% a year, 10% a
Yeah.
year.
Well, they want to beat inflation, right? They just want to make 2% a year, right?
Mhm.
They just want long-term investors are just trying to beat the inflation rate. Um, but I mean, quite honestly, I was up 30% on my portfolio last week. And the week before that, or a couple weeks before that, was 20%. So as long as you don't keep giving money back and stop, let's say you make 5 grand this week and next week you blow 5 grand, then well, then you overtraded and you got a little too confident, right? Um,
Right.
so it's entirely possible that anyone with, let's say, just a $2,000 account can make 40, $50 a day. That's not outside the realms of impossibility. I'd say that's
Right.
very feasible. It's very
Then
feasible.
you're talking more
The
than 20%. You're up. That's more than
Yeah.
20% a year. Were you saying you're up 20% for what
Well,
period
you're
of time?
well, you're not going to be 100% on your trades, right? But the idea is
Right.
that you walk away from the day with some green, with whatever small percentage that you're aiming for, whether you're aiming for $50 a day or $100 a day. If
Mhm.
you hit that goal, you walk away from the market. Right.
Right.
What happens is a lot of people they're up that $100 goal and they actually lose the next trade, right? And they're back down to zero or they're negative $100 a day. I'm just giving examples. It happens, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
as a day trader, you have to be disciplined enough that to take profit when it's there, and also if you hit
Mhm.
your daily goal, then hey, walk away, right?
Right. Right. I mean, that's the key is to walk away. Can't tell you how many
Hmm.
times I'll be ahead for the day, and then you just get the
Hmm.
itchy finger, and you stop
Yeah,
following the rules, and you think you see something,
right.
and you try jumping back in, and that's
Yeah, it happens. That happens to me too. Of course, of course, of course. If I'm up 20% on a day, of course I want 25. Who doesn't,
right.
right? I mean, but but no one bats 1,000, right? No one bats
Right.
1,000. So the more times you keep batting, their odds are stacking, right, against you, right?
Right. But in a year, if you're day trading right, I mean, you could be up 1,000% essentially in your portfolio by the end of the year, or maybe not that much, but 500%. You might have, because those really good days are really good days as long as you keep the bad days to a minimum.
Yeah. In this market what in this market condition we're in, you'd want to um, day trade the big volatility, right? The swings in the market, where, for example, SPY can trade, 10 points between its highs and lows. Those are great days for day traders, right? That
Mhm.
is because you're gaining a lot of momentum on the upside or the downside. So lately, we've had a lot of volatility in the market, right? But it's when the market goes sideways or doesn't do much, those are days where you just kind of typically stay away because there's nothing happening in the market, right? The market's just consolidating,
Right.
it's waiting on news, et cetera. It's so news driven. So yeah.
Right. A lot of times the market has its biggest movements overnight, pre-market,
Mhm,
pre-market times, but holding something overnight can also be a massive risk because
mhm.
a lot of those movements aren't predictable.
Yes, correct. Um, any news from overseas, Europe, China, etc., can ruin the market overnight and go against your position. So there's a risk to holding options overnight these days, unless, of course, you're buying time on your options, right? Which you're buying a month out, 2 months out, 3 months out. They typically are a little bit more safer to hold overnight if you identify a good trend, right, and stick with it, and stick with your charting or your technical analysis. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been doing straddles lately, which I'd never done
Mhm.
before, which is where you buy a put and a call, pretty much the
Mhm.
same amounts with the same risk,
Yeah.
hoping for a big movement in either direction.
Yep. Yep, we've been doing that for like CPI, right? For CPI release dates, because those typically when they release the data, at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, the markets move in a big way to either side, and the idea here is that you gain more on one side to offset the other. So sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. They don't, depending on implied volatility, and depending on the size of that move. You could end up just balance out. That happens too. So, or you can end up losing both. That happens too. So, the risk is there. Either way you look at options, there is risk.
Right. So what do you think's the what do you think the best way is for somebody to get started? If somebody wanted to get started, not to go straight to options, obviously. What
Mhm.
would be the best route to kind of learn their way?
You know, Focus on technicals, read all the books that you can get, right? Find a strategy or some type of system that works for you. It can take you a while, right? It's not going to be, you're not, I don't think anyone's an overnight success in day trading. But people will tell you to focus on the technicals, to find your strategy, learn your risk management, set your rules, okay, and go from there. And you can also paper trade, right? You can also use any brokerage offers paper trading where you could just fake trade and kind of
Mhm.
test out your strategy, right? But paper trading doesn't give you the same psychological, mental, and emotional aspects of trading, right? You can throw $1 million on paper trading, and if you make 250K, it doesn't mean you're going to do the same with real money, right? Because it doesn't, that fake money, paper money doesn't give you the same emotional, blood pumping, chemical, drive that real money can bring you. So you can test your strategy with paper money, or paper account or paper trading. But to graduate, you want to move into real money, right? And start real small, and take
Right.
it from there. Yeah.
I tried paper trading and it just without the emotion behind it, without that control, I think that's the hardest part of trading in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it helped me all that much. I also am not one that has the patience to sit there and paper trade for very long either. Um,
Trading is yes, it's about the technicals, but it's also about the emotional control, the psychological aspect, the mental capacity. That's what that chunk, right, is what determines if you're going to be successful in a trade. You can be sometimes lack of patience, even though you're right on the technicals, but you're starting to get emotional. Maybe you put too much into the position or whatever. That can ruin, that can test your patience and you can break, even though the trade was correct. So you can exit a trade because you're emotionally too messed up because you're like, oh man, I'm down X percentage points. I put too much into positions. Let me just cut this. And all of a sudden the trade actually goes your way right after you cut. So, technically you could be correct, but your emotions, right? And,
Hmm.
your mental gets the best of you, right? So that can happen too. So what you want to do is make sure that all that's in check. And of course, never to oversize and play, and follow your risk management. Whether it's 15%, whether it's 20% max, whether it's 5% max, loss, that's what you do, right? Because there will always be another trade and the market's always open the next day.
Right. Right. Which is so hard to tell yourself it's amazing. Like, it is amazing when I'm staring at the charts and it's 2 in the afternoon and I'm like, I need to get in. I need to get in a trade. There's got to be a trade here. Let me like desperately find a trade.
Hmm.
I'll start drawing
Well,
lines everywhere until I make up a line that makes it work for me. And
yeah, well, that's when you need to wait for your setup, right?
Mhm.
Typically I don't jump into any trades at the opening bell. Some people do, they love it, because it's a thrill ride. But I wait until, things starts consolidating and I try to determine a trend or forecast a trend. Either we're going to move up or down. And I typically like to wait for my setup, wait for something that I see that's worth, like a setup that I've been successful at before, and I follow that, right? And any
Right.
failures I've had, I try to avoid those as much as possible, even though sometimes you may repeat the same mistakes, and that's just human nature, right?
Mhm.
We tend to repeat the same mistakes over and over again, just because we're sometimes we're wired like that. So yeah.
Right. I always wonder if they'll. I know they're always trying to create AI bots that'll trade better than us, or that'll, you know, but while trading and the charts seem mathematical, there is a lot of emotion behind them that can't be translated into an algorithm that you can
Right.
just follow every time to make the
Yeah,
trades.
I know there's a bunch of stuff they sell online, algorithms, and I think they are helpful in terms of helping you determine when a trend is reversing or when to exit a trade, etc. I think they help, but they're not going to make you a better trader, right? You still have to do the work, right? You still have to control your management or risk management, right? You're still in control of your own capital, of your own money, not those algos.
Hmm.
Unless, of course, there are some bots that you can, of course, buy and they'll trade for you, right? Then those are. It's not something I use, but some folks like that.
Right? Are they successful? Do some of those bots actually make people money, or
From what I can tell, yeah. I don't know. I
Hmm.
know there's a ton out there. I just don't use it because I like being in control. I like doing things myself. Sometimes there's bots that
right?
helps you trade commodities, helps you trade, foreign exchange, forex. Um, so it's just those things I don't really dabble in.
Gotcha. What does it mean? I know we're always talking about the market being manipulated. What does that mean? Who's manipulating it? And
Market makers, right? They prop up the market, etc. There's a lot of other forms of manipulation that can happen in the background. Um, and you can see it on the charts when things are starting to get a little weird, when the stock is not moving in a natural way. So we've all seen that before, um, but a lot of stuff goes on too. It's not just one person controlling the thing. It could be a lot of the options market. Okay, it can be a variety of things. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, because we're always hearing that, or you're always the market is just doing something bizarre on a certain day or at a certain time, and it's always like, where is the big money that's making that happen?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. There's the powers that be. Most of us we're retail traders. We're not institutions. We don't have the big money that can move markets one way or another. That could do, phantom prints, etc. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that I'm not very well versed at, but it's if you think that the market cannot be manipulated, then boy, I got I got ice to sell to you, you know?
Well, I think that superstition moves the market sometimes. 'Cause I think when I move my mouse in a certain way over the chart, that it makes the chart move a certain direction. You have any superstitions? I swear it feels that way sometimes. I swear it feels like if I look away at the wrong time, then that
Yeah, yeah,
then it's my fault that the whole market
yeah.
moved.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
fun. Fun stuff.
Yeah. um, so you've started the Rock Trading. So that is the group that I'm a part of. You call yourself the Rock
Yeah.
Trading.
Yep.
There are so many people out there on Twitter and on YouTube and everywhere else that want to be your guide. And it's really hard to sort through the mess. And I do want to say thank you. Like I really think you're the most honest one I found out there. Um, uh,
Mhm.
you've taught us so much just listening to you. It's really great. How do people sort through that mess? Like it is just
What do you mean?
there's there's just so many out there that aren't legit, that aren't in it for the best interest of the
Mhm.
people that are following them.
Well, I don't know. I can't really say. Um, I mean, we started the rock trading just because, I ended up having a ton of followers on Twitter, right? And I wanted to start a community
Mhm.
and instead of, chatting on Twitter, or maybe we can create a community on Telegram, right? And we give it a name and we call it the Rock Trading. So, uh, and then we obviously invite members in and, to get exclusive content, access to our chat rooms and also the trades that we're doing. So, you know, there's a lot out there. Of course there is. There's a lot of discords, etc. Some are great, some are bad. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never been part of any other trading groups, etc., except my
Really?
own. So, yeah,
Well, that's good
I
because you've avoided a mess of them out there that are not good. Yours is great. Even
yeah.
this morning, I logged on and people are talking about the snow in their car. You know how their morning was with their wives. I mean, it's
Mhm.
you've really created a tight community. It's
Yeah, yeah. And that's what kind of drives me too, right? Is that, there's so many good people in our community
mhm.
that are learning, that is trading well, and to see people successful, obviously that's very rewarding as well. But yeah, some folks end up making friends here, and we have our trading buddies. I
Yeah.
think it's such a tight knit community, and I didn't. It wasn't my intention to do that. It kind of just grew on its own. It kind of people started chatting with each other, and it kind of just runs by itself. I don't, and I just joined the chat here and there, and talk stuff with people, whether it be sports or whether it be stocks. We chat about everything. But Monday through Friday, we're more business, more strictly business.
Right. That's neat though. That's got to be pretty rewarding just to see that and to
Hmm.
see that it's
Yeah.
like you said, it has organically been created kind of around you, but
Hmm.
you're a part of the cog at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I think personally for me it's just it's motivating. It gets me up in the morning to help. I think I know that my intentions are pure for helping people and guiding people. Giving them as much content, showing them the ropes, whether they're new or seasoned. Um, and there's always someone else out there that has more experience than me. It's not just me. There's people in the groups that have been training for a long time as well. So
Right.
it's really cool to see a great community where we're just all making a living.
Right. So I will say John didn't ask to come on this podcast. I brought him on, so he's not on here to sell his products or his
No.
group. But I will say it's a great group. And anyone out there that's searching for something or you're on Twitter, keep an eye on people who might just be telling you to buy and they're not actually telling you when they've sold a stock or what their real situations are. Like really pay attention to that their information isn't too real. You don't follow somebody that wins every time because that's impossible. But there's so many out there
Yeah,
that'll claim that they win every day.
yeah,
So it's you can look through the clutter and find the honest people that tell you how it is. And
hmm hmm
yeah, super appreciate that. And we all
yep,
get that from the group. Do you ever feel the pressure that you have a lot of people following you, and what you do does definitely influence them, or definitely,
yeah.
have
There
do
there is a
you ever
pressure, of course.
Mhm.
It's every day, but I signed up for it, right? It's
Right,
what I do to help others. So, but that um, I use that pressure to motivate myself too, to become better, right? I'm not the best trader in the world. I understand that. People who follow me or people who are in our chat room, they all understand, right? That I'm not the best trader in the world. And I don't think there is a best trader in the world, but we're all trying. We're all growing every single day. We learn lessons every single day. This is my motto. If you look behind me, it says suck less today, right? So,
I like that.
every day improve yourself by a small percentage point or a fraction of a percentage. Execute something even better, right? Execute a trade even better every single day. Um, but as long as obviously I'm getting better, the group's getting better, right? So
Right.
pressure makes diamonds, right? Pressure is not a bad thing. It's just how you apply that, right? But are there days where I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. I need a mental break, of course. I'm human, right? Um,
Right.
but I use that pressure to get better, right? To give people better opportunity to see, what I'm seeing, and they can execute on their own as well. I mean, not every day do I need to execute trades that in the room in our community, and people are doing it on their own, and that's awesome, right? They
Very
can
good.
fish on their own, and that's the key, right?
Well, that's another thing that we do in the group. It's a lot of learning. It's not just, hey, you should buy now and sell now. It's
Yeah,
this is why you think it's a good move. This is why somebody else in the group thinks it's a good move.
right, right.
These are the technicals. These are the charts that you're drawing or looking at. So I have hanging up next to me what I call my trading Bible, and I'm
Yeah,
really trying to follow all of the rules in
hmm
my trading Bible. Um,
yeah,
it's amazing how hard that can be once you're in the moment.
yep. When you're all of a sudden when you're green, it's like, well, that's awesome. There goes all my rules. I stopped taking profit. And so, nah. I mean,
Oh
I,
yeah,
I that's the thing in our group is that we are quick to take profit. If it hits our goal, if it hits my goal, I'm taking it. That's day trading, and there's always going to be a next trade. Sometimes people leave a little bit extra on the table, and that happens, right? You leave money on the table, but I don't know, not in this game. I think if you can walk away with the trade green, whatever percentage it is, it's a win, right? A
right,
win is a win, whether you win by a mile or you win by an inch, it's still a win, right? And that's something to feel good about,
right.
and
That's
that's
something.
something. Right. That's just
Go
something
on,
that
sorry.
you can carry into next trade. You can be confident in your next trade or the next day, etc. A win is a win. No matter how much you uh, potentially left on the table, that's all speculative, right? But you made money on that trade, and
Right.
that's what matters.
Yeah, that's definitely something I have difficulty with. Is you see a trade really going in a certain direction, and you feel like it's going to keep going that way. And when a green trade grows red, there's not much worse of a feeling than that.
Hmm.
So you're counting the
Yeah.
money in your pocket, and it's not really there yet because you haven't sold it.
Right. Hmm. Absolutely. You
So
do not. It's like, yeah, man, it's like you don't want to see a green go red on you. It's just, then it just kind of ruins the fun, right? Ruins the point of trading. Um, so yeah, it's something we want to best to avoid.
right, very so difficult. Well, thank you, John. I really appreciate what you've done for my trading game. I am a lot more confident that it is something realistic and something that I can do
I'm
without
glad.
completely killing myself. Yes, I'm actually in the positive since I started following you and chatting with you and playing in your group.
Of course.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
it's a lot
Good
of.
to hear.
I feel like people hold me responsible in there too because I will type in there. I'm green. Don't let me go red.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
screw
awesome.
this up. Yeah.
Good to hear, Michael. That's really good to hear.
Oh yeah.
That's like I said, that's what keeps me motivated. If people are successful, that gives me assurance that we have something great going on here, and great for the future of this group, of our group, and as the market goes on, you know, we, one day maybe we don't have to trade just spies and Qs, and we can finally trade regular stocks again.
Hey, don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
No, it's great. There's just some really honest people in that group that share their highs and their lows, and I think you need to see both of those to know you're sane and you're not crazy. And there's other people that are going through the same stuff you are, and
Mhm.
if they can find the uh, if they can find the strength and to hold to their training Bible,
Yeah,
then somebody else can because every trader has that problem at the beginning. Every
sure,
trader.
sure. Yep. Every day is a new day to get better. So
Oh yeah.
it's a journey. It's a
Oh
process.
yeah.
It's not going to happen quickly, but once I think that again, once you find your edge, you find your strategy, and you stick to that, I think you'll be a lot more consistent.
But you're well. That's
Hmm.
what we're working towards. We're working towards it. So I have other businesses that I run, and just like to make a little extra every year, just to kind of put it on top and
Yeah,
yeah, make
it's
things a little
awesome.
more comfortable. So
Yeah,
try not to shoot too high. Trying to just shoot for realism, something realistic.
yeah, yeah. Good for you, Michael.
Yeah, yeah. At the first, I was definitely shooting too high.
Yeah, it happens.
shooting for the moon. All right, where can people find you? What's the web address? Is it therocktrading.com?
Yeah, it's actually the Rock Trading Co.com. So if you
Okay.
go therockTradingCo.com, you can follow me on Twitter at the Rock at the underscore Rock Trading. So you can find me there as well.
Okay. We'll put the link on this below. And thanks for being on, John. And again, everyone out there, thanks for supporting dweebsglobal.org. Free mentorship help, anything from resume writing to mental healf, dweebsglobal.org. So